Welcome to the weekly roundup of Air News Daily Bulletins, the go-to place to catch up with all the stories that made the news last week.
We start today in Entebbe, where Uganda Airlines has announced the introduction of 2 new routes from its home base. Firstly, the carrier will be commencing a 4 times weekly service to the Ghanaian capital, Accra, starting on the 27th of October. Flights will operate on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays and Sundays using the Boeing 737 the carrier has on lease from Ethiopian Airlines. On the 18th of November, the airline will introduce a daily service to the Rwandan capital, Kigali. Flights will be flown using the carrier's CRJ 900 fleet. Air France is set to expand its regional Caribbean operation with the launch of twice weekly services between Ponte Pita on Guadeloupe and Panama City, starting on the 11th of December. Flights will operate on Tuesdays and Saturdays using the airline's Airbus A320 fleet. Scottish travellers can now enjoy 3 additional routes with easyJet, who have now based a 7th aircraft at Glasgow International. Twice weekly services to Pisa are now available on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt now enjoys a twice weekly connection on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And finally, Malta can be reached on Tuesdays and Fridays. Transavia is set to expand its operation from Brussels with the introduction of a thrice weekly service to Porto in Portugal, commencing on the 14th of December. Flights will operate on Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays using the airline's Boeing 737-800. Panamanian carrier Copa Airlines will introduce a thrice weekly service from its Panama City hub to Palomar in Venezuela, commencing on the 26th of November, with flights operating on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. On the 25th of October, Air India will introduce a 3 times per week service from its Mumbai hub to Toronto in Canada. Flights will operate using the carrier's Boeing 777-300ERs on Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays, returning the same day. Taiwan's Starlux Airlines has commenced a thrice weekly service from its Taipei hub to the Czech capital Prague. Flights operate using the carrier's A350 fleet on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. And from the 1st of October, the carrier will add a rotation on Mondays, making the route 4 flights per week. Canadian leisure airline Air Transat has confirmed that its twice weekly summer seasonal route between Montreal and Dakar in Senegal will operate year-round with the introduction of a weekly flight during the winter timetable. Flights will be flown using the carrier's Airbus A330s on Fridays, commencing on the 30th of October. Saudi low-cost operator FlyNAS will introduce a new thrice weekly service from its Riyadh hub to Kochi in India from the 1st of September. Flights will operate on Mondays, Saturdays and Sundays using the carrier's A320 family of aircraft. Staying in Saudi Arabia, startup Riyadh Air will introduce a 4 times per week service from its home base to the Thai capital Bangkok, commencing on the 2nd of September, with flights operating on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays, unsurprisingly, on board its Boeing 787 Dreamliners. Well folks, that's your routes update for this week. Not so much happening, but that's typical during August, as carriers and airports, let's face it, are busy coping with the summer exodus. We'll be back with you in the morning with our normal news bulletin, so you have yourselves a great day and we'll see you tomorrow. European plane maker Airbus has released its July performance, which saw the manufacturer deliver a total of 67 aircraft to 39 customers, with orders being placed for 204 aircraft. Deliveries in July included an A350-1000 to Starlux Airlines of Taiwan, A321neos to Frontier Airlines, Turkish Airlines and Wizz Air, as well as A320neos to Indigo and Tiger Air of Taiwan. Delta Airlines was among the carriers who received an A220 during the month, and there were no A330 deliveries. Up to and including the 31st of July, the company has delivered 418 aircraft to 82 customers and remains on track to reach its target of around 870 aircraft deliveries by year's end, although the pace will need to pick up a bit for the plane maker to be certain of achieving its self-imposed target. Filipino low-cost operator Cebu Pacific has announced plans to add 5 routes to its network when the winter timetable commences in October. Some of the routes are being restored to the carrier's network, such as Ho Chi Minh from Cebu and Hanoi from both Cebu and Clark International. Shanghai and Nagoya, however, will become new destinations on the carrier's network, both being served from Cebu. Proof, if ever you needed it, that the airline's confidence in the market is being restored following the challenges posed by the conflict in the Middle East, which has affected fuel costs and made the carrier reduce its flying program. Good news, definitely. Last week, we reported that the Norwegian-based cabin crew of Scandinavian Airlines were planning industrial action as the direct result of failed negotiations with the carrier over pay and conditions. On Friday, the airline and unions confirmed that a new offer had been made, which would now be tabled to the staff in a vote. Accordingly, the staff agreed to temporarily suspend any industrial action whilst they considered the offer, bringing relief to customers and no doubt the airline's management team, who are now awaiting the outcome of the ballot from unions. So here's hoping that the revised offer hits the spot. Nigeria's ValueJet has taken delivery of the first of 3 Boeing 737-800s as the carrier looks to increase capacity and expand its operations. The 12-year-old aircraft was previously operated by US low-cost giant Southwest and currently has an all-economy class configuration of 175 seats and is due to commence commercial operations in September, with the remaining 2 aircraft due to arrive in Lagos over the coming months. The low-cost carrier currently operates to 8 domestic destinations and 4 international routes to neighbouring African states, using a fleet of 7 Bombardier CRJs and now a single 737-800. Staying in Africa, Kenya's once celebrated low-cost operator Fly 540 has officially been placed into receivership 4 years after flights were abruptly stopped amid numerous legal disputes involving shareholders, creditors, employees and aircraft lessors, pretty much everybody then really. The airline, which started in 2006 and took its name from its introductory airfare of 5,540 Kenyan shillings for flights between Nairobi and Mombasa, and was expected to be a guiding light for low-cost operations in the region, suffered at the hands of increased competition and never really recovered. And now, thanks to a legal challenge from the Chase Bank of Kenya, who also happened to be in receivership thanks to Fly 540, the parent company of the airline is now under the control of the receivers, ending any real hopes for a return to the sky of the grounded carrier. It's always sad to see them go. On the 19th of August, Lufthansa will become the first airline in the Lufthansa Group to offer its customers Starlink high-speed Wi-Fi connectivity, when one of the carrier's A320neos emerges from the hangar with the satellite technology installed. Eventually, the group plans to equip approximately 850 aircraft with the Starlink system so that customers across all of the group's airlines will be able to surf the net and stay connected whilst cruising aloft. We end today with a food item, so hopefully you're not too hungry. Centenarian American Airlines, following a successful debut of Pecan Lodge's barbecue platter and smoked brisket sandwich, is now expanding its partnership with the award-winning Texan barbecue restaurant by rolling the first-class specialty dishes out to all eligible domestic flights from its Dallas-Fort Worth home starting on the 9th of September. The carrier says that the sandwich will be a lunchtime option in first, and the evening diners will be able to enjoy the barbecue platter, which, if you don't mind me saying, does look a bit burnt. But apparently, that's what makes it taste so good. So if you do happen to be in first from Dallas and manage to try the dishes, do let me know how it goes, and I promise that there will be no food envy at this end. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the morning, so be sure to check in with us again then. In the meantime, remember to stay safe. Bye for now. Vietnamese low-cost operator ValueJet Air has announced plans to serve Western Sydney International, Australia's newest airport, which is due to open to passenger flights on the 25th of October this year. I did say that more international carriers would join the pack, and it's no surprise that ValueJet has chosen the new facility, as it will fit its operating model perfectly when it launches a twice-weekly service on the 10th of January next year from its Ho Chi Minh hub, using its Airbus A330 fleet. Additionally, the Vietnamese carrier's Thai division will launch a 4 times weekly service from Bangkok to Western Sydney, starting earlier in November this year. Both routes are subject to regulatory approval. Global logistics specialist DHL has expanded its presence in Shenzhen, China, by spending €177 million to triple processing capacity to around 900 tonnes per day at its super hub at the city's international airport. At the same time, the company has added a new China to Europe flight via Southeast Asia as it strives to take advantage of the fast-growing data center and pharma demand from the region. The flight from Shanghai to Brussels using one of the carrier's Boeing 767 freighters operates via Bangkok and Bahrain. South Africa's Airlink has received the 5th of 10 Embraer E195-E2s that it has on order with the Brazilian manufacturer, marking the halfway point in its fleet modernisation and network expansion programme as it asserts its position as a leading carrier in South Africa. London's Luton Airport has cleared the final legal hurdles to enable its long-term expansion plan for the Bedfordshire facility to grow its annual capacity from 19 million to 32 million passengers by the mid-2040s. According to the airport's owners, Luton Rising, the transformation project, could generate up to 11,000 jobs and an additional £1.5 billion sterling in extra annual economic activity. The plan will no doubt want to take advantage of the new Universal theme park being constructed close to the airport and set to open in 2031 that inevitably will generate additional traffic. Beleaguered Latvian flag carrier airBaltic has unveiled an interim strategy that it hopes will help it to navigate its way through its ongoing financial challenges, which resulted in the Latvian government creating a supervisory working group late last year to oversee the carrier and ensure that the airline finds a way out of its current predicament. Yesterday, the Supervisory Working Group approved the new plan that will see airBaltic reduce its current fleet of Airbus A220-300s from 54 to just 26 aircraft and focus its attentions on having a network that makes money, stronger year-round ACMI partnerships that provide bedrock revenue and, crucially, improve operational efficiency, which in part will be achieved by the improving availability of spares for the airline's geared turbofan engines. In terms of its network, the carrier will focus entirely on its existing portfolio of destinations, ensuring that it delivers capacity and frequency that maximises the business opportunity. So some thinner routes may well fall by the wayside, particularly as the carrier will now be operating with less than 50% of its current fleet, although it has said that it hopes to build to around 40 aircraft by 2031, giving itself just 5 years to get back in the black, which I sincerely hope they manage to achieve, as airBaltic has come a long way since the collapse of the Soviet Union. And the Baltic republics which it serves deserve to have a local airline that meets their needs and helps to bolster the local economy. And finally, it's that time of the month again when we look at the runners and riders in Cirium's latest on-time performance report. We start as always with the airlines that made it to the top 3 of most punctual carriers across the world. In first place, Saudia retains its pole position for another month, delivering 87.24% of flights on time, i.e. within 15 minutes of the published schedule. Singapore Airlines sat in second place with 85.32% of flights on time. And Air India secured itself the bronze medal, some might be surprised by that, with 84.33% of its flights landing when they said they would. Scandinavian Airlines was hot on its heels though, with just 0.1% away from tying with the Indian flag carrier. In terms of airports, India's Bengaluru International achieved top spot with almost 92% of its flights leaving on time. And for medium airports, Brazil's Brasilia International was the winner in July, with 90.66% of flights leaving within 15 minutes of the published timetable. And when it came to small airports, Tibet's Lhasa Gongar Airport achieved an impressive 92% of on-time departures. It's always fascinating to see who is doing well. I think next month, however, we ought to take a look at who were the worst performers, because that might be more revealing. Thanks for being with us. That's all for today. We'll be back with you again tomorrow with more news from around the globe. So we'll see you then. Cheerio. Turkish low-cost operator Pegasus Airlines has received approval from the Turkish Competition Authority via its Maltese-based subsidiary Pegasus Europe to acquire sole control over Czech carrier Smartwings and its Czech Airlines brand, formerly the state flag carrier CSA, or more accurately CSR, Czech Airlines. The regulatory approval means that the Turkish operator will go from being a Turkey-centric carrier to a pan-European operator with a multi-hub network. More importantly, The deal throws a much-needed lifeline to Smartwings and will no doubt result in expansion of its operations from Václav Havel International Airport in Prague, and perhaps other points in Europe to include Karlovy Vary. Personally, I hope that the CSR or CSA name is retained and that it's afforded the opportunity to expand its operations, keeping alive a flag carrier that was once highly regarded and who it was my honour and absolute privilege to work for. Yesterday, Chinese flag carrier Air China operated the first ever international service using a COMAC C919 aircraft when it flew its flight CA723 from its Beijing Capital Airport home base to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, a route that it normally operates using one of its Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. This may not seem like much of a story, but it does mark a considerable milestone for the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, the manufacturers of the C919, who have been eager to see their new twin jet commence overseas operations for at least a year, as until now it has only operated domestically within the People's Republic and is yet to receive certification approval from either the EU or US regulators. This first foray beyond the Chinese border is a sign that the Chinese would now like their homegrown alternative to the Boeing 737 MAX or Airbus A320neo to be welcome everywhere. We'll see what happens. Air Canada is the latest business to release its second quarter results, which saw the Canadian flag carrier deliver a record quarter in terms of operating revenues, which topped out at 6.3 billion Canadian dollars, an 11% increase over the same period last year, driven, according to the carrier, by strong demand across its network. However, its operating expenses outstripped revenue by 215 million Canadian dollars, creating a relatively small operating loss in airline terms, caused largely by labour-related expenses as it navigated its way through pay negotiations. The carrier does remain focused on driving down costs and says it continues to see strong demand for its premium products, an area the business has invested significantly in recently and appears to be paying off, which is good news as they have ambitions to achieve operating revenues in excess of 30 billion Canadian dollars by 2030. So there's lots to be done by everyone involved. Despite improved delivery performance in May and June by US plane maker Boeing, things appear to have slipped backwards as July's delivery performance has fallen further behind European rivals Airbus, with the Seattle-based company confirming it had delivered 53 aircraft in the month versus Airbus's 67 airframes. Deliveries included 39 737 MAX, 10 Dreamliners, 3 767 freighters and a single 777. Lufthansa, Riyadh Air and United Airlines were among the customers receiving Dreamliners, and AerCap Leasing took ownership of 9 737 MAX aircraft. The company registered 30 net new orders for the month, as the large order for 100 MAX variants announced at the Farnborough Air Show had already been booked in the company's June order figures. So far, for the first 7 months of the year, the plane maker has delivered a total of 367 aeroplanes, so they still have plenty to be getting on with if they are going to get above 60 aircraft deliveries per month for the rest of the year. And we wish them good luck, mindful of course that they cannot afford to compromise on quality just to reach a target. I'm sure they won't. Heathrow's management team are licking their wounds, having lost their top spot as Europe's busiest airport in July to Turkiye's Istanbul Airport, which handled 8.15 million customers versus the UK gateway's 7.85 million. Unsurprisingly, the team at Heathrow have used their usurping to remind interested parties, to include Mr Burnham's government, that they need to be able to get on and build the long overdue third runway if Heathrow is to stand a chance of remaining competitive, which frankly is essential and definitely has my full support. Not that that means very much, let's be fair. Come on folks, it is high time that we got on with this. After all the pontification, we need to be doing, not talking. We end today in Memphis, Tennessee, the headquarters of logistics giant FedEx, whose employees earlier this week with members of staff at Memphis International Airport honoured their founder and chairman Fred Smith, who sadly passed away in June last year, by renaming the airport Frederick W. Smith International, an honour that would have most certainly made Fred very proud. FedEx was founded by Fred in June 1971 using Dassault Falcon 20 jets and has been based at Memphis International ever since, growing into the largest all-cargo airline in the world and one of the most recognisable brands globally. To complement the renaming of the airport, the company has painted one of its Boeing 777s into the original livery that adorned the firm's Dassault Falcons and have christened the aircraft Rosie, after one of Fred's granddaughters who was born shortly before he passed away. Two very fitting tributes to a man whose legacy will most certainly live on. That's all for today, but we'll do this all again tomorrow, so don't forget to check in with us then. In the meantime, you have yourselves a cracking day. See you soon. We start today in Transylvania, where Hungarian ultra-low-cost operator Wizz Air has announced plans to open its 10th Romanian base at Brașov. From the 17th of December this year, the airline will base one of its Airbus A321neos and introduce 4 new routes to Barcelona and Madrid in Spain, Chisinau in Moldova and Baden-Baden in Germany. By available capacity, Wizz Air is the largest carrier in Romania, and the 10th base is intended to help the carrier capitalise further on its dominant position. One of my old stomping grounds is celebrating its busiest month on record. London Stansted Airport saw 3.1 million travellers pass through its doors during July, a 6.3% increase over the same month last year. The airport's rolling annual passenger total now stands at 30.5 million, an increase of 1.8% on the previous 12 months. Spain, Italy and Turkey were the most visited countries from the Essex facility as the summer exodus got into full swing. The board and shareholders of Korean Air and Asiana have given their seal of approval for the two carriers to formally merge in December this year. The approvals given to both companies formally ratify the merger agreement that both airlines' boards had already executed in May of this year, but still required the go-ahead from their shareholders. Work is now underway to complete the necessary regulatory processes to combine both company AOCs into a single air operator's certificate under the Korean Air brand, with the 17th of December earmarked for the formal launch of the combined carrier. It's going to be quite a force de jour. Coincidentally, on the 17th of December, UAE carrier Etihad Airways plans to introduce a seasonal 4 times weekly service between its Abu Dhabi hub and Gothenburg in Sweden. Flights will be flown using the carrier's Airbus A321neos, equipped with 2 first-class suites, 14 business class and 144 economy seats. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays and Sundays until the end of the winter timetable in March next year. Philippine Airlines has posted a net loss of $25.1 million for the first half of 2026, marking a significant drop over the same period last year, when it recorded a $136 million profit. Not unexpectedly, the carrier cites the crisis in the Middle East as the primary cause of its changing fortunes. But it wasn't all doom and gloom for the Filipino flag carrier, which saw total revenue rise by 5.9% to $1.746 billion, helped by stronger passenger yields and cargo demand, but clearly thwarted by the Trump effect, which saw the airline's fuel costs climb by a whopping 48.2% year-on-year because of the war against Iran being waged by the US and Israel. Passenger numbers dropped by 3.1% to a total 8.2 million customers for the first half of the year, but with a large expatriate community living and working in the Middle East, it is not a surprise that the passenger demand weakened slightly. Despite the loss, the airline will continue to invest in its fleet renewal program, which sits at the core of its long-term strategy. Air Charter Scotland will continue to provide the Public Service Obligation, or PSO network, from Wick, John O'Groats Airport in North East Scotland, after securing a new 5-year contract from the Highland Council. Under the agreement, services will operate between Wick and Aberdeen once weekly, and a new 3 times weekly service to Glasgow International will be introduced. Services are flown using a Jetstream turboprop, supplied under an ACMI contract by Dutch carrier AIS Airlines. And finally, following the collapse earlier this year of Ascend Airways UK, Freetown-based fledgling carrier Air Sierra Leone has been unable to offer services on its key route to London Gatwick. However, the airline has now reported its intention to resume services from Freetown via Banjul in the Gambia to London Gatwick starting in October, having received approval from the UK's Civil Aviation Authority. According to our sources in Freetown, the carrier is negotiating with the European airline to operate a Boeing 737 on its behalf, although they are unable to confirm which airline it will be until such time as the contract has been ratified. The West African newcomer is still in the process of formalising its own air operator certificate with local Sierra Leonean authorities, but still needs to use an EU or UK registered carrier to operate services to London, as Sierra Leone is currently on the EU's air safety list, commonly referred to as the banned list or aviation blacklist. Well folks, that's all for this week. Thanks for being with us and for all the feedback that we've had during the week. It's great to know that we're bringing you content that you're enjoying. We won't be with you on Monday, as we are now going to be taking a short summer break so that the team and I can spend some quality time with our families. We will, however, be back with you on Monday the 31st of August with all the latest commercial aviation news, and are looking forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, you take really great care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
We look forward to seeing you again on the 31st of August. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe to Air News Daily so that you never miss an episode.
Air News Daily, the commercial aviation news channel broadcasting across the globe.